Hey everybody, it's your boy, That Garrett Guy, and today we'll look at a much beloved Disney classic, Winnie the Pooh. Well, the films I'll actually be talking about in this video are the horror adaptations of the A.A. Milne novels. Because, you see, Winnie the Pooh has officially entered the public domain, and some Anglo-Saxon psycho thought making slasher films would be the best course to take. Now, I saw Winnie the Pooh maybe 100 times when I was a kid, and would have loved to see something more experimental and interesting done with the IP. But instead, we got this shit. I actually saw the first Blood and Honey film when it came out last year, but was just so underwhelmed that I decided against making a video. However, when it was announced that there would be some kind of ghetto cinematic universe with all these fictional characters, all done as horror films, well, needless to say, I was intrigued. Furthermore, there seemed to be murmurs online that this film was actually good following its initial release. I can safely say by that point my interest was thoroughly piqued. So I got in my car, drove to my local theater, bought a ticket from a teenager that was high as a kite, and well, it sucked.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
But not as bad as the first film. I'll begin by discussing 2023's Blood and Honey, before moving on to 2024's Blood and Honey 2. I have no idea what I was even expecting going into this. It looked on the surface level to be a cheap, thrown together mess with bad writing, bad acting, and would be filled with every single horror cliche you can think of. And it was just that. Like I said earlier, it was just so underwhelming to watch. There were times where I really considered walking out of the theater. Overall, this film was a really surreal experience. That kinda made me wish I was watching that weird Ewan McGregor Winnie the Pooh film they made a few years ago. And I honestly still can't get over the fact they fucking ate Eeyore. This film picks up some time after the first, wherein Christopher Robin tries to adjust to his new life after surviving the events of Blood and Honey 1. He deals with false accusations, nightmares about his brother who went missing, and the knowledge that Pooh is still out there continuing his reign of terror in the 100-acre woods. Christopher eventually encounters information that makes the stakes even higher than ever. I'm gonna go ahead and say what I really liked, which is the obvious quality boost from the previous movie. Part of this comes from a higher budget, but also the writing was far more polished. An added bonus is that they recast Christopher Robin, which leads to a much more interesting characterization. Although something I found funny was that they included a subplot about people thinking Christopher Robin is a murderer, but let's be honest, even without the deaths of the previous film, you still think this guy was a serial killer. Another thing that helped over its predecessor was redesigning Pooh and Piglet and also including Owl and Tigger, the former of which absolutely steals the show and makes the horror aspect of this film really work. Even though Owl does kind of look like Birdman, and Tigger only appears near the very end of the film, in which he chases several teens through a warehouse, while killing them with his claws and calling them bitch. So yeah, their idea for Tigger was just making him Freddy Krueger. You know, I sometimes forget British people are like actually real, and just like trying to observe them like act human, it's just so uncanny valley to watch. Now for what I disliked. This movie is dumb, and that's not entirely a bad thing, but there's just too much melodrama and this begging need to be taken seriously in a fucking killer Winnie the Pooh movie. There's just no fun to be had here, and that to me is the biggest blunder of these films. And if they intend to continue this cinematic universe, then they should really lighten up a bit. I'll finish off this review by theorizing, which is I think these films are going to get better past this. But only in terms of things like cinematography, and perhaps more professional and even mainstream actors. However, any and all artistic value will never fully be embraced, and it feels like the only thing to really even appreciate about these films are that they aren't as bad as some of the awful live-action remakes Disney pumps out. In fact, the most positive thing to look forward to in this Pooh-verse is that they are a major fuck you to the mouse corpo bullshit we all have to suffer through.